All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're looking at a pretty mind-bending theory. It connects some really startling astronomical claims with a super rare astrological event. And according to the sources we're digging into, they both point to the year 2026 as this massive turning point for all of humanity, a moment that could literally change our reality as we know it.
And that quote right there from astrologer Rick Levine really gets to the heart of it. The idea is that this isn't just another year on the calendar. We're apparently approaching a moment so unique, so unprecedented in all of recorded history that we have absolutely no map for what comes next.
So what's behind such a huge claim? Well, it all hinges on two completely different and really powerful things that are supposedly converging. First, you've got this mysterious visitor from deep space that seems to be breaking the laws of physics. And second, there's a planetary alignment happening that's so rare we haven't seen anything like it for thousands of years.
So let's start with that first piece of the puzzle, a series of pretty wild claims about an interstellar object called 3I/Atlas. According to the source material, this thing isn't just, challenging our understanding of physics, it's completely shattering it.
The story that our sources lay out happens incredibly fast. We're talking a matter of weeks. They claim that our most powerful eyes on the sky, the Hubble and the James Webb Space Telescopes, started picking up one baffling observation after another, and each one just made the mystery even deeper.
And here's where it gets really weird. The alleged behavior of this object is what makes it so central to this whole theory. With every new piece of data, the mystery grew. It was reportedly broadcasting what looked like structured signals. It got colder as it got closer to the sun, which, makes no sense. It had these geometric patterns on it, and then it sped up, all by itself. According to the sources, there's just no natural explanation for any of this.
The first real clue was the signal itself. The claim is that Hubble picked up a broadcast on the hydrogen line. Now, this is a huge deal because SETI scientists, the people looking for alien life, have long called this the cosmic dial tone. It's a universal frequency that any advanced civilization would probably figure out and use to say, hello?
And then, just a few days later, it supposedly got even stranger. The story goes that amateur radio operators all over the world picked up this 47-second blast of static, but when it was analyzed, it wasn't just random noise. Hidden inside was a clear mathematical pattern, the Fibonacci sequence. That pattern that shows up everywhere in nature and is often called the mathematical fingerprint of design. And then came the kicker, the most dramatic claim of all. At its closest approach to the sun, the object allegedly hit the gas, accelerating by an extra 300 meters per second. Now, this wasn't like a comet venting gas. No. The sources describe this as a controlled, powered maneuver, something you'd expect from a craft with an engine, not a rock.
Okay, so put a pin in the weird space object for a second. Let's turn to the second major pillar of this theory. This set of clues doesn't come from deep space data, but from a much older system for reading the heavens, astrology.
According to astrologer Rick Levine, on February 20th, 2026, we have a really potent conjunction between Saturn and Neptune. But what makes this one so incredibly significant is where it's happening. It's at 0 degrees of Aries, which is like the symbolic starting line for the entire zodiac, the very beginning of the beginning.
But it's not just two planets. The power of this moment is apparently amplified by two other heavy hitters, Uranus and Pluto. We're talking planets of radical change and deep transformation. Altogether, they're forming what's called a grand trine, which is this really stable, powerful triangular pattern in the sky. And right at a key point of that triangle, that's where Saturn and Neptune meet.
This combination creates what the sources are calling extraordinary geometry. And look, this isn't some pattern we see every few decades or even every few centuries. The claim is that when they run the computer models backward, they can't find this specific alignment for at least 8,000 years. It's a truly historic celestial event.
So, you have claims of a physics-defying object on one hand and a once-in-a-civilization astrological event on the other. How in the world do they connect? Well, the theory suggests they're both pointing to the exact same thing, a massive shift in our perception of reality itself.
The key to understanding this is all in the symbolism. In astrology, Saturn represents structure, rules, boundaries, basically what we think of as solid physical reality. Neptune represents the total opposite, dreams, imagination, spirituality, that boundless ocean of consciousness. So when they come together, it symbolizes structure dissolving into the formless potential of imagination. The solid is melting. And that brings us to this quote, which really sums up the whole idea perfectly. It's this proposed shift away from seeing the world as made of solid little bits, particles, and toward understanding reality as something fluid, energetic, something that's shaped by consciousness, a world of vibration.
And this is where that strange object, 3I/Atlas, comes roaring back into the picture. Its alleged behavior would be the real-world physical proof of this metaphysical shift. It would literally dissolve our assumptions about what's real by breaking the very laws of physics we thought were set in stone.
So if the very foundations of reality are being questioned, both physically and symbolically, the sources claim that we as a species are being presented with a pretty critical choice about where we go from here.
And look, this cosmic event isn't happening in a vacuum, right? It's all happening at the same time. Humanity is already at this massive crossroads. We're grappling with the rise of AI, augmented reality, the possibility of disclosure, and all these deep social divisions. It's a perfect storm.
So what's the advice for navigating a time like this? The sources offer a really simple but powerful mantra. Think cosmically, act locally. The idea is to keep our awareness expanded to these huge patterns that are unfolding, but to focus our positive actions and intentions right here in our own lives and communities.
And this is a really important takeaway. The point of this whole theory isn't to brace for some specific, predetermined future. It's actually the opposite. It's about understanding that our collective awareness, our consciousness, our intentions, they could be the key factors in deciding what kind of world comes next.
And so that's what this whole theory leaves us with, a pretty provocative question. We've looked at the claims, a cosmic messenger that's supposedly breaking our rules of physics, and a celestial alignment that's set to dissolve old structures. If that boundary between imagination and reality is truly getting thinner, the question isn't just what will we build, but what reality will we choose to create?